Hi, I'm Andy Husbands. I'm the chef and owner of Tremont 647 and Sister Sorrel in the south end of Boston. And today I'm going to be making a pan-roasted pork tenderloin with a whole wheat Johnny cake. So right here, what I have is a pork tenderloin. It's about a pound and a quarter. I've soaked it in pineapple juice for about 6 hours. That's going to give it a kind of an interesting sweetness, as well as kind of help the outside caramelize a little bit and developing kind of a sweetness on the outside. I'm going to season it nice and heavy with salt and pepper. A lot of times the comments I get are that, why are you putting so much salt on it? But the way to think about it, and pepper as well, think about it is that in the inside, it's not getting seasoned, so we kind of overcompensate on the outside. If you were just to eat the outside, it would probably be pretty strong, but when you have the combination between, or the dichotomy of the outside and the inside, it's actually a really interesting texture and taste. So that's simply all I do is I've soaked it in pineapple juice for about 6 hours. And I've seasoned it with salt and pepper, what we call butcher crack, so it's a big chunky black pepper. And I'm going to sear it in a hot cast iron pan right over here on the stove. So once I've seared both sides for about 3 to 5 minutes, what I do is I just grab this pan. It is hot, so you need to be careful. I use a side towel or an oven mitt. And I'm going to take it and put it right into the oven. It's going to stay in the oven for about 5 to 10 minutes. While I do that, I'm going to make my mix for my Johnny cake. So we have our pork tenderloin roasting in the oven right now, and now I'm going to move on to a Johnny cake. I actually have it pretty well prepared already. But Johnny cake is thought to be the original pancake. Used to be cornmeal that they would add a little bit of water to, maybe some seasoning, salt, pepper, and roasted in a cast iron pan over a stove in the Wild Wild West, right over like a fire or something. This is very similar. What I did to make this Johnny cake is I did equal parts of whole wheat flour, cornmeal, buttermilk, cumin, roasted garlic, sage, and a little salt, pepper. I'm going to add a little more flour just to kind of give it a little bit more thickness. And really, with a Johnny cake, I mean, you can have it for breakfast and stir with maple syrup. I would keep it a little more plain. But what also is, I'm using this more as for a savory dish. So I've added the roasted garlic, cumin, sage. I'm going to add some chives to it, which I have over here, little chopped chives. Really, whatever you want to think about, you could add to it. I could add some shrimp to it, lobster if I wanted. Really, world's your oyster at this point. A little bit more flour. And I've also added a little bit of baking powder to give it a little bit of lightness, a little levity. So this is kind of like Johnny cake's kind of a cousin of the pancake. That's thought to be the predecessor of the pancake, I guess. So we're going to go over to the stove and start cooking these up. So I have a nice Teflon non-stick pan here. I've got over about medium-high heat. I'm going to add a little bit of oil. Here I use a blended canola and olive oil. This is going to give it, obviously make it so it won't stick, but also it's going to give it a little bit of extra flavor with the olive oil that's in there. So I put the oil in and kind of move it around. Then I just take it and pour a little bit off so it doesn't have too much oil. Turn the heat up to high, so I make sure it's nice and hot. And go ahead and add it. Just like that. Then I turn down the heat to medium. And this is going to take about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. Once it starts to solidify, I'm going to come in underneath with the spatula and kind of move it around. Now, while this is cooking, let's take a look at the pork tenderloin. Pork tenderloin at about 155 degrees is what I'm looking for. I can also feel it and tell that it's pretty resilient, so I know that it's done. I kind of an educated guess, they say. It's got a nice caramelization. You can see a nice crust built between the caramelization of the pineapple juice I soaked it in and the salt pepper. Gives it a really nice kind of outer flavor. and come back to my Johnny cake. What I'm looking for is, like a pancake, it will start to have bubbles that pop up. As you can see, I'm not sure. They're going to pop up and start to open up. Once those bubbles pop, we're able to flip it over. And there we go. Golden brown. It's looking pretty good. So that's how we cook the Johnny cake. Okay, now that we've pulled the pork out and cooked the Johnny cake, I'm ready to plate the dish. So here is my Johnny cake. What I'm going to do is cut it into 4 pieces. This is more of an appetizer than it is an entree. I have my pork tenderloin. Going to slice it in about 1/4-inch slices. Just layer them on, like so. And over here, what I have is a chipotle sour cream. If you're not familiar with chipotle, chipotle is a smoked jalapeno. You can find it in pretty much any store. We take the chipotle. It comes in a can. We take it and chop it up, add it to the sour cream with a little bit of lime juice, salt, pepper. Kind of a sweet and spicy dish. Put that right in there. Garnish with some chives. And there we have roasted pork tenderloin, chipotle sour cream, and a Johnny cake. Yum.